St. Louis is one of the most charitable cities in the country, according to a study done by a group called Charity Navigator. When there's a good cause like disaster relief after the Joplin tornado, people in the bi-state give generously. But what if I told you that nearly 3 years after the tornado, the money you donated to help the citizens of Joplin is still sitting in the bank? As I learned in this 5 on Your Side investigation, in some cases, the public is donating in the dark.
They've turned the page in Joplin, Missouri.
The city is growing. Everybody's in a positive light.
3 years after the worst chapter in city history, there's new construction everywhere. But like the residents, the memories never rest.
Listen to it!
The massive EF5 tornado that hit Joplin on May 22, 2011 was one of the deadliest in U.S. history. 158 people died and over 1,100 were injured. Neighborhoods, schools, and communities were literally blown away.
And it was utter devastation. I've never, ever, in my short term in life so far, experienced or seen anything like that.
And in the aftermath, residents will tell you they've never seen anything like the outpouring of support from people and organizations all over the world.
All right, thank you.
One of those groups, as you might expect, was the Salvation Army. According to their website, in the initial days after the Joplin tornado, they fed up to 10,000 people a day.
We try to do our very best, our motto, doing the most good. We try to live up to that through our actions.
With millions of dollars pouring in through donations, the Salvation Army hired Callie Hudson as their director of development. She helped recruit a volunteer advisory board of leading Joplin citizens.
I went on kind of a 90-day campaign around Joplin and spoke to as many people as I could talk to about the things that we were going to be doing at the Salvation Army.
It was the board's job to help decide how to best spend the relief funds.
It's just really sad.
But journalist Mike Olmstead, a member of the board, says there was a problem.
Something just didn't feel right. Not everybody seemed to be on the same page.
Our board would put together plans and send those up to St. Louis, and those just never really turned into anything.
The Midland Division of the Salvation Army here in St. Louis oversees Joplin.
We're very prudent in how we handle such a big piece of money like that. So, of course, we are going to be rather slow to expend it immediately.
Major Aho tells me that 3 years after the tornado, the Salvation Army has spent approximately $1 million in Joplin.
But according to these documents obtained by News Channel 5, they had raised $4.8 million in donations as far back as September of 2011. That means more than $3.7 million of your generosity is still sitting in the bank.
No one imagined that almost 3 years later, they would be holding on to 80% of the cash.
Ben Smilowitz is a WashU grad and the executive director of the Disaster Accountability Project, a nonpartisan watchdog organization dedicated to improving disaster management systems. He says the problem with the Salvation Army and some other groups collecting disaster donations is that they're not transparent.
Yeah, it's not like the Salvation Army said, just give us your money, we're going to hold on to it for the next 3 years. They said, help people now. Save lives now. Look at us responding. We're doing such a good job. Donate to us right now.
Back in Joplin, Callie Hudson has moved on to a new job, and much of the advisory board has disbanded. But frustrations linger.
Salvation Army is a fixture in this community and always has been. And a huge ball has been dropped.
It's sad for the city of Joplin because certainly we could use that money in so many different capacities to impact lives.
So it's been 3 years. We're coming up on the 3-year anniversary. When will the bulk of that money be spent? Is there a timetable for that?
I wish I could tell you.
The Salvation Army promises a long-term approach. How long is still anybody's guess.
Major Aho did tell me that all the money raised for Joplin will eventually go to Joplin, including any interest made on that money. We requested information from several charities about their Joplin response, and here's what we learned. As I mentioned, the Salvation Army raised $4.8 million, and 3 years later, they've spent about $1 million. According to the Joplin Globe, as of last year, the Red Cross raised $6 million for Joplin, and they tell us they've spent $7 million so far, more than they collected. And on a smaller scale, Catholic Charities raised $720,000, and the numbers they sent us show they've spent every last cent in Joplin. We are waiting for more documents from the Red Cross and others with more specific information, but we will stay on top of this so at the next disaster, you won't be donating in the dark.